guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. You're welcome to our first ever Aspire program, Fiscal Aspire program. My name is Dr. Zainab Abdullahi Biu, and today with me is Dr. Ibrahim Yusuf as our hub expert. So I'll be your moderator for today. Aspire, as you already know, is a mentorship program organized by the Farm-Alert Community Engagement Team. It's where we bring in mentor-worthy personnel to educate younger veterinarians and veterinary students on their career paths they have chosen, the journey so far, and where they're headed to. Because most of those younger veterinarians, after graduation, they don't really know where they're headed to. So that's why today, we're bringing a mentor-worthy personnel, Dr. Ibrahim Yusuf, with us, who will serve as our hub expert for today. So, but before then, I'm going to give you a brief about his citation. Dr. Ibrahim Yusuf is a veterinary expert, a consultant at Sahel Consulting Agriculture and Nutrition Limited, Advancing Local Dairy Development in Nigerian Program, ALDDN. He is an expert in livestock with over 8 years plus experience. He is an environmentalist, protection enthusiast, and a climate-smart agricultural advocate, where he provides support on various fronts such as social and behavioral changes, strategy development, inclusive business model, stakeholder engagement, program management, and coordination. He worked with German Development Corporation, Intersource Humanitarian Organization, NIM Foundation, and Jubel Agrotech Limited. He worked on a number of donor-funded projects in the humanitarian and development sphere, including World Food Program, which is WFP. We also have BMGF, European Union, and German government. He is a registered veterinarian with VCN, where he attended a number of professional courses and training, including cooperation in complex environmental management, adapted to the specific contents with capacity work, steering competence, with Lego Serious Play in Bonn. That's Germany in November 2022. He holds a Doctor of Veterinary Medicine and a Master's of Veterinary Pharmacology and Toxicology from prestigious Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria. Not only that, Dr. Ibrahim has led a delegation to Egypt in January 2024 for a dairy study trip to understudy the best practice in dairy landscape for possible replication in Nigeria. He's also an alumni of Lagos Business School. So please permit me to once again welcome Dr. Ibrahim Yusuf, sir, where he will be talking about thriving in tomorrow's veterinary world, innovating and excelling through competitive markets. So, sir, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here, and it's nice meeting everyone. It's my pleasure also to talk to young veterinarians across the country and then provide support and mentorship to some of our veterinarians that are newly hatched from school and those that are also in school aspiring to be veterinary doctors in the near future. So I will be talking basically, I have just a few minutes for this interaction. So we'll be talking basically on thriving in the competitive market, where we are going to basically look at what can we do better as veterinarians and how can we excel in the competitive market. So I'll just go straight into my presentation, where we are going to look at some of the, okay. So for the outline, as you can see, we'll start by introducing the topic. We look at innovation strategy because we are basically talking about how to innovate and how to actually strive in the competitive market. So also look at the types of innovation strategy. We look at some of the types, which are the blue and the red oceans strategy. Then finally, we talk about how we can implement this strategy, which is from strategy to action. So as a way of introduction, we basically know that in today's veterinary world, or in the veterinary medicine or veterinary profession in Nigeria, basically it provides a lot of opportunities and also challenges. We look at different perspectives in the veterinary world. We look at the rising demand for veterinary profession and paraprofession across the country. We look at the landscape where we have different livestock, poultry, sheep, goats, pigs, and lots more. Now, also the rise in pet ownership, particularly when you look at the urban regions or urban areas in the country, has also provided I wouldn't talk much about this because we will talk more on the next slide that we have. Most of these things has to do with collaborations, capacity building, innovations, and then technology involvement in most of our practices of the day. Okay, so because we are particular or concerned about innovation, uh, when we talk about innovation, different things come to mind. Different people has different definition for what innovation is all about. But in innovation, you actually do not need to reinvent the wheel. It has to be, it could be what somebody have already pioneered in another location, and those things are actually thriving and working well for those people. And then, but in the region where you are, those things are not being practiced. And then pioneering it to see if it will work within that landscape. So it's also an innovation. So when what it comes often to mind of people when you talk about innovation, people always think about, okay, I have to create new things. I have to reinvent the way. So sometimes that's not the process. The invention could be there, but nobody is putting those inventions into action. When you look at most of the big companies in the world, what they leverage on is not even what they are producing. It's what other people have done, and they are now here to implement it. The strategy basically might not be from them. And when you read about most of these companies, big companies, for example, motorcycles producing companies and all these engine producing companies, you see that most of the vehicles they produce is not even a prototype of their company. What they do is just to reposition to see that, okay, this is what we can do better, and then make implementation to happen so that we can leverage on past experience of other people. So that's what we are talking about. So in innovation strategy, basically, you look at when, you look at what, you look at also how, right? What really do you want to innovate? You need to even know the landscape you are working. You need to even know what the challenges are. Are you addressing food safety? Are you addressing food security? Are you addressing livelihoods? So this will now provide an opportunity for you to know what type of innovation is needed in this landscape. Now, knowing the type of innovation that is needed in that landscape will now give you another opportunity to actually know when is the right time for you to introduce such type of innovation into the landscape. Now, also, it will give you the opportunity to actually look at the identified innovation, right? How do you go about implementing that innovation that you have actually identified? So that is when we talk about the what, the how, and then the why. All right. So now I'll give you two type of scenario basically. The reason why I brought this scenario is because we are looking at how to excel or how to thrive in competitive market. So what we try to do is to look at moribund business ventures all across the globe, not just in Nigeria, but in the landscape where we work. What has thrived, what has worked well, what hasn't worked well. What type of businesses, what type of business ideas do we have, and how do we actually put those things into action? Now, we have what is known as the red ocean and then the blue ocean. It's more like a case study, or let me say a toolbox that we use in business management so as to even make a mapping of what the business landscape looks like. So you have a competitive market space whereby the ocean is actually red. It's congested. There are a lot of competition going on in the landscape. How do you excel? How do you make yourself better, or a better business owner or a business implementer in the landscape where you have various competitors? You have up to 100, 200, 300 competitors. How do you make yourself distinct among the various competitors that you have? So that's where the blue ocean comes into place, because already you guys are working in a red ocean. You are working in a red ocean. I will say this, and categorically, most of the businesses that we have in Nigeria, we operate in the red ocean. We operate in the red ocean. Now, how can you distinct yourself? If you are a veterinarian today, or you are aspiring to be a vet doctor in the next 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, or 4 years to come, what type of niche are you trying to carve for yourself so that you will be out of the red ocean to move into the blue ocean? The blue ocean now involves you carving a niche to identify potentials for growth, to identify potential opportunities in the landscape where competition is no longer even what you talk about in the day. Now you are talking about more growth of the business landscape rather than competing with other people in the landscape. And I think it's one of the things that I've seen Farmalart coming up to do, not competing with most of the veterinary or business landscape within the livestock industry. They'll be able to carve a niche and then provide some opportunities even for growth for the young veterinarians. Now, this, it's more of what we talk about in innovation or innovation strategy. So that's what the blue ocean and then the red ocean is all about. So I'll move us straight to the differences. How are you able to differentiate between the blue ocean and then the red ocean? So in real sense, you see that business opportunities in the red ocean, it shrinks. There are more competition in the landscape, right? So you can see this. This is the red ocean. This is the blue ocean. If you look at it critically, you will see that there are a lot of fishes that are competing with one another within the red ocean.
Yes.
Now, this guy that you see,
Has
it's
escaped.
either escaped the competition. You can see him saying, I'm out of here already.
Yes.
So he has created a niche for himself, now going to thrive in the blue
Blue ocean.
ocean. This brings us back to what do you do to excel? What do you do better? How do you distinct yourself? And then what are the opportunities or the potentials for growth in that particular landscape? So you see that in red ocean is highly competitive intensity, profit and growth perspective shrink, products become commoditized, differentiating brands become harder. And this is just the true perfect example of what we have in the veterinary landscape in Nigeria. For example, when you go to the market, you want to get veterinary drugs. Sometimes it's very difficult for you to even be able to differentiate between the brands. People don't even rather maybe differentiate brands. They just tell you about what the drug is or maybe the active ingredient of the drug. This is because you have a lot of it in the market. You take, for example, you want to buy multivitamin for livestock today. You see like 100 to 200 different brands in the market. Some of the brands do not even have proper labeling. So how do you even differentiate, right? So differentiating the brands become even very difficult. Products are highly commoditized. The ocean is actually red. And the opposite is the case in blue ocean. In the blue ocean, you are already creating a niche for yourself, and then competition is no longer something, a discussion of the day, but rather you focus on how to grow the business more and then identifying even more opportunities there in the landscape. So that's what blue ocean and then the red ocean strategy is all about. You look at some of the points like offer customer superior value, streamline costs, and then higher profits and speedy growth. Now, when you operate in the red ocean, you don't have those opportunities, right? Because growth may not really be that speedy or rapid in the red ocean because you have a lot of competitors.
Yes.
You just found yourself in the landscape, but you never ask yourself, what will I do better? What products,
Different.
what products am I offering that is better than what others are doing? What type of customer relationship will I introduce into my system that will make people to patronize me the more? Is it just about the cost? Is it just about the business strategy? Or there are some other opportunities that people could tap into that will actually bring a better landscape and more business viability, right? Revenue streams are being expanded day in, day out, and then you make more profit margin at the end of the day. Yeah, so now this brings me to, I think, the last slide that I have here, which is from strategy to action. When I talk about from strategy to action, we mean the roadmap. What will you do to actually excel? What are the opportunities you could tap into to make you to be more creative, having more potentials, and then be able to serve or give more, or be able to even do well or thrive or strive in the veterinary world? Number one, what we are going to be looking at is capacity building, just like what we are doing today, leveraging workshop and seminars, further certifications, and then professional associations. Now, when you belong to different professional associations, it gives you the opportunity to network. It gives you the opportunity for mentorship because you get to be in the cycle of people that are doing great things. But if you are isolated from people, you are isolated from people that are actually thriving well in the landscape, you may not really be able to do more because for you to also grow or excel, you need continuous capacity development, you need mentorship, and then programs like Aspire that we do now, it's actually part of capacity building. Then importantly, strong practical skills for young veterinarians. We talk about the hands-on practice, right? When you are in school, usually maybe the thinking is a bit limited or shallowed, you might just be thinking about what are the opportunities for veterinary doctors after graduation. You look at maybe clinical or non-clinical practices. You look at maybe academia or maybe private practices and so. But there are still a lot of opportunities in the landscape apart from maybe the things that you might be thinking about. Now, but one thing we realize is that hands-on practice, practical experience is actually a bit shallow for most of the veterinarians that graduate. We don't put in more efforts into seeing that we move out of our comfort zone to learn more in terms of practical experience, in terms of mentorship programs that will give you the opportunity to learn from senior colleagues, to learn from even multifaceted discipline, not just the veterinary medicine itself. Don't just think about the courses you do in veterinary medicine, your anatomy, your physiology, and the rest of it. How well are you grounded in terms of technology advancement? How good are you in terms of the use of the AI tools? This will actually give you an opportunity to compete well with other competitors even in the landscape, because you are introducing digitalization into what you do. And we are in the 21st century, no doubt that if you have to excel or thrive, you have to inculcate the technology and even AI tools with the advancement of most of these technologies into our practices. This will give us various opportunities to thrive in the landscape. Now, we also look at multidisciplinary approaches, whereby you are also able to have a good diverse employment settings where, just like I mentioned earlier, you don't need to just think about being in private practice or being in the government or being in academia. You can explore various opportunities because each of these settings offers a unique learning experience and then career growth. You should be willing to relocate, move out of your comfort zone to work even in other places, even outside the country when the opportunities arrive. This will give you an opportunity to learn more. For example, we look at internship programs, we look at even part-time jobs. Some people are not open to working in part-time or even internship. These are some of the opportunities that will be able to boost your IQ and even boost your advancement in terms of technology advancement, in terms of veterinary practices, business management, and the rest of it. The all strong network. This is very important. Connect with experienced veterinarians, leverage social media, attend industry events or industrial association events. These are very good opportunities. Client relationship. How well do you communicate with other people in the landscape? Build trust with clients and then exceptional customer service relationship. This will give you the opportunity to thrive more within a competitive space, especially if you are operating within the red ocean or in the red zone. Business skills, very important. Um, so basic business management, customer segmentation, targeting, pricing. These are business management tools which you find within the business management toolbox. You need to know the type of customers you deal with. The customer you deal with in this region might be different from what you see in the other region. Customer A and B have unique, they present different or diverse types of attention. So therefore, their needs should be addressed differently. It's not a one rule fit all. It means that you have to dance differently to the tune of each of the customer in order to provide an adequate customer satisfaction. So this is where even customer segmentation, customer targeting, pricing, repositioning and positioning of your market strategy comes into play. You need to get more certifications, especially if you are working in the landscape. It's not just about the techniques or technical capabilities. You need to maybe have some courses in agribusiness, look at courses like social behavioral and communication strategies, look at courses like capacity works, program management that will help you to excel in the landscape. Some of these courses are free courses that you can take online, while some of the courses are courses that demands you to appear physically by paying a token for registration in some of the business schools or even some of the training um, uh, schools that we have across the country or across the globe. So with this, I think it's a call to action to most of our stakeholders to engage more in mentorship program with most of our aspiring veterinarians, the young vets and the newly graduated vets. Um, it's an opportunity for us to network, look at the landscape, look at the opportunities that you have, leverage on networks, and see what you can give back to your society. Sometimes you need to pay some due in terms of mentorship programs or internship programs, which at the beginning you might not really get um, highly paid. Maybe it's just a token for your transportation and the rest of it. But as time goes on, you are able to have more opportunities. And this is how you distinct yourself. In every internship program that I have seen in most organizations, in most of the mentorship programs that I've seen in most organizations, if you have 10 interns or 5 interns or 20 interns, at the end of the day, 1 or 2 of them will have a job at the end of the internship. Now, this is a good practical example of red ocean and blue ocean. 20 people as interns, you are all competing, right? But at the end of the day, you have one person that will distinct himself or distinct herself and move out of the red ocean into the blue ocean and get retained as a permanent staff, maybe with the organization. So this is what we talk about in innovations and in strategies. Or what are you able to really do? Think outside the box. It's not about invention, just like I mentioned at the beginning. It's not about reinventing the wheel, but it's about pushing yourself to do better, pushing yourself to do more, moving out of your comfort zone, leveraging on existing partnerships, collaborations, networks, and even social media so that you can have a first-hand knowledge or information about the thriving or the current threats in veterinary medicine or in veterinary profession, and then link it to business management and business opportunities. These have to be intermarried if you really want to thrive. Just like I mentioned, and I'll repeat it again, most veterinarians that stick to just what you learn in school about your technicalities, most of them do not thrive in the competitive market. This is because you are not giving yourself the opportunity to think outside the box. You are not giving yourself the opportunity to innovate or even identify potential growth opportunities that will lead to more business focus or more orientation in terms of business capacities. So I think these are the few words that I have for our young veterinarians and the veterinary students across the various veterinary colleges in the country. I wish you all the best, and let's continue to join this program and then have more time to network with more people within the landscape, and then look at the potentials for growth and opportunities to build a good ecosystem and in it. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, sir, for sharing this wonderful insights. I hope you have gained a lot of knowledge from this. So, my participants, I would like you to please drop your questions, recommendations, any other thing, so that our hub expert is here today. He's going to answer all your questions. So please. So, but before then, I would like to ask you a few questions, sir.
Okay.
So how can I differentiate my veterinary practice in a competitive way?
How can you?
Differentiate my veterinary practice from competitors?
Oh, this is a very important question. I think during the course of the presentation, I made mention of how you can actually distinct yourself, right? Distinct yourself. So, in innovation strategy, what we try to do is to look at the landscape, do a mapping of the market system. That's what we call the market system analysis. When you do a market system analysis, you will see what exists within the landscape, and then you will see what opportunities do you have in the landscape. Don't just focus about what is available, but focus about what is not available, right? Don't only give your customers what they need. Give your customers what they don't need also. So this is a basic way to even differentiate what your veterinary knowledge is, and then how you can make it or apply it in a competitive landscape. Look at what they are doing, right? Don't focus on just what they are doing. Look at what they are not doing. And what they are not doing is an opportunity because you've seen a gap. Now it's for you to innovate, to think about how to close this gap. And this makes you distinct and then differentiate yourself from what others are doing in the landscape. Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for shedding more light on that. So another question says, what are the latest technological advancements impacting the veterinary profession?
Yeah, so the latest technological advancement in most cases, we cannot run away from artificial intelligence, right?
Yes.
AI. Yeah, so we've been leveraging also telemedicine in most of the advanced world, even though it's not something that we utilize the most in Nigeria. But when you go to advanced countries, I think one of the latest technologies that they've also um, leverage on is AI actually. So AI is very broad and gives you a lot of robust opportunities in various fronts, such as the telemedicine that I've mentioned. You are able to navigate through your clients even without seeing them physically and provide consultancies to them. So it doesn't have to be a physical interaction and the rest of it. So I think it's one of the advancements in veterinary profession.
All right. Another question from our participants. He said, how do one develop the courage to swim in the blue ocean, knowing that what you are doing has not been done before and you possibly don't have an example to follow?
Okay, so I like this question. It might not be what someone has not done before, but just like I mentioned, it's not about reinventing the wheel. It's about looking at your landscape. Those things will have actually been done in another space, but not in the current space you are in. And this is why going for study trips, right, is an eye opener. There's something that you will see in other countries or in other states, but has not been pioneered where you are. Now, this is also a call to action for you, knowing that this has worked for certain regions, and why not come back and also uh, implement or see the potentials for you to implement those things. It takes a lot of courage, just like the person, the question that how do you develop the courage? Yeah, it takes a lot of courage actually, because some of those things are also cost implicative. Some of them, it, it, it needs a lot of logistics. It, it actually depends on the type of innovation. That's why we say the what, the when, and then the how. Because when you are able to identify, first, the critical aspect of it is to identify, to even know what do the landscape need. Are you just coming to the landscape just to start producing new products? Is it what is needed in the landscape? You need to ask yourself why you need to do that, right? So if it's what is needed in the landscape, then it means that you've identified, you've answered the question, the what. Now you know what is needed, and then how do you go about doing it? How do you summon the courage? What do you need? Do you need logistics? Do you need expertise? Do you need, so you need to identify what are the things. How do you go about it? and then when is the right time for you to implement. I'll give you a very good example. There are some products, uh, if, for example, Pharmalat, I know you guys are also into veterinary drugs, right? There are some drugs that are more relevant during the raining season. Some drugs are more relevant during the dry season.
Dry
And
season.
so the seasonality also affects when actually do you need those things. So it gives you an opportunity to know when is the right time for you to implement such strategies. So it's for you, it's multifaceted. It's for you to bring a lot of expertise, lot of experience, and then sit down critically to analyze what you need, when you need it, and then how to go about it. Now, this will answer the question on how to summon the courage for you to actually thrive or swim into the blue ocean. So it's not about reinventing the wheel. It's about just doing what works well in that particular ecosystem. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. Our participant, please let's keep trying to engage and then ask questions because this is a rare opportunity. So another question,
Yeah.
what are the key factors for building a strong veterinary team?
This is a topic on its own entirely. It will take like 3 hours for me to explain this. It's a course on its own. But I will just tell you something later about it. Um, so, that's something we call design thinking, right? For you to even think about how to design a team. Who are the people you need in a team? Do you need a photographer in your team? Do you need a communication expert in your team? Do you need a data analyst in your team, right? So what are the major key factors? Just like I always say, you need to identify what the gaps are. Because for you to be able to even determine what, what makes up the professional team or the type of people you really need in your team, it will, you have to answer the question of what are the basic needs, what are the gaps that exist, why do you even need to build a team structure? And if you're building a team structure, you start, there's a way you start. We have the starter, finisher, we call them SA, SF, and different strategies is a toolbox on its own where we have different people that makes up a team, and then at what stage do we actually introduce those guys into the team so that at the end of the day you have a better team, and then you have a good outcome or output from every other thing that you do in the team. So also depend on the type of business you are actually running. Are you talking about a veterinary clinic? Are you talking about agri-business? Are you talking about a project, right? A food security or food safety project and the rest of it. So this will now also defines the type of professionals that you need in that particular team. And that's why I say it's a multifaceted or a interdisciplinary approach. Don't just focus on you are setting up a team, and because you think you want to thrive in the veterinary world, everybody you are bringing is just a vet. Then you have actually planned to fail because you are not actually building a strong team at the end of the day. So that's why you need communication experts, strategies, data analysts, and the rest of this kind of guys to actually play their key roles in your implementation strategy. So, but maybe when we have better time, we could talk more diverse about this, but just a preamble about this.
All right, thank you, sir. So I think two more last questions to go.
Okay.
So he said you made mention of good communication. Yes. So how can I improve client communication and engagement?
Client communication and engagement, number one, you need to build trust, right? You need to build trust with your clients. The clients need to even see the reason why he needs to even come to you in the first place, right? So you need to build trust, and there are various ways of building trust, and then community engagement or stakeholder engagement. So in stakeholder engagement, you look at the approach that best work for your system, right? There are diverse measures of communication. For example, there's something we call the communication cascade or the communication channel, right? What are the right communication channel? Now, you identify some of your clients. I'll give some examples. You have clients that if you write an email to a client, it will take him maybe 1 year for him to reply the email. But if you send him a text message, in the next 3 seconds, he's going to respond. There are clients that if you call them, they will never pick your call. But if you send them maybe a WhatsApp message or a LinkedIn message, they will respond immediately, right? So you need to identify the right channel of communication. You need to really, and this is where intelligent quotients, IQ, comes into play. Uh, I say it's not a one rule fit all. You need to identify what works for client A and then what works better for client B, right? If if you are too corporate, maybe you are used to emails. Maybe client B is not used to emails. And you say your organization only use maybe Teams to communicate, right? You don't communicate via WhatsApp, you don't communicate via SMS. And maybe that client B does not even know how to operate Teams, and then you want him to respond to your communication. It's really not going to work that way. So it means you need to identify what are the communication gaps and then how to fill in those gaps, the right communication channels, and also to be able to also learn more, read books, right? It will improve your communication and communication strategy. Attend seminars and workshops on social behavioral and communication strategies. This will go a long way in shaping the way you communicate and also the way you write. It's very important in the veterinary world for you to thrive. So communication is actually very important. So identify the gaps and then loopholes and then play on it.
All right. Thank you, sir, for shedding more light on that. So, how can I prepare for the future of veterinary medicine? I'm a veterinary student. I think the person wants to prepare for future of veterinary medicine.
Okay. So this is also a topic of its own, or let me say a lecture of its own, or maybe a course of its own. So preparing for the future of veterinary medicine is a multifaceted approach. It's just follow the roadmap, right? Follow the roadmap. Following the roadmap entails you to think outside the box, to leverage all opportunities within the landscape. Um, Sometimes your anatomy could be important, your physiology, your biochemistry, your parasitology, pharmacology. But at a certain point in time, all these might not be important. None of them could be important. None. At a particular stage, maybe all you need is to develop your communication strategy and be able to communicate well with clients, to be able to write well, to be able to also identify gaps within the ecosystem. So this will give you opportunity, leverage on networking, just like I mentioned in one of the, from strategy to action, leverage networking systems. These are very important tools you can use to thrive and then preparing yourself to excel in or post-graduation or in the landscape. So just follow the roadmap. I think that's just the summary of it.
Okay, you mentioned there is a lot of opportunities related to veterinary medicine. Can you mention a few?
Okay.
Yes.
So maybe I should talk about some of the opportunities that people don't usually think about. The ones that people think about is a well-known opportunity, so I wouldn't talk about that. Um, Recently, there have been a lot of opportunities to address food safety, to address food security, and also to address livelihoods, to even address things that has to do with business ethics, policies, right? There was signing of the dairy policy recently by the president of Nigeria, sometimes 2 months ago. A lot of vets were also involved in consultancy projects to develop some of these policies and strategy, right? There are a lot of vets also working as communication expertise that actually communicate the new trends in veterinary profession, right? So you look at international relations, so there are a lot of opportunities also in international relations whereby you are able to navigate through what happens in the livestock sector across the globe, where you are able to contribute to either food security, food safety, livelihoods, the agri-food system as a whole. You are able to contribute your quota towards the development of those sectors. So it's not just about looking at the private practice or maybe academia or probably working in the clinics. You know, there are more business opportunities even in military, paramilitary, and then some other agencies across the globe, One Health and a lot of it. Recently, there is also um, the opening of these PPP, which is about the sanitary mandate, is a division under the Department of Veterinary Services, but they are now on their own. They call them sanitary mandate, and they are actually responsible for public-private partnerships, right? And then the institutionalization of those type of aspects into law. So there are diverse opportunities. Sometimes it's just for you to even search, and then you see some of those opportunities even online. So I encourage the young veterinarians not to be discouraged. Um, Always have a strong network with colleagues, with senior colleagues, with even other people working outside the veterinary landscape. And that's where sometimes we get it wrong. You feel the only people within your cycle have to be vets. Then you will be missing out some of these opportunities, because those opportunities are opportunities that vets are actually supposed to take over, but the opportunities do not exist within the veterinary landscape. It exists in another different sector, but it's a vet that is supposed to institutionalize or implement those type of opportunities. So sometimes you need diverse people or array of expertise within your cycle, so that if there are certain trends even within their organizations that is related to an aspect where a veterinarian is supposed to handle, then you will actually be contacted for such type of information. So these are some of the things I could say. So let's leverage on network and then read more. You get some of these informations even online.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, sir, for shedding more light on this. And I must truly confess that you have done justice to this particular topic. So hoping to learn more from you. So thank you so much for your time, and to all those our participants that have attended, thank you so much for being with us all through to the end. So, and don't forget to follow us on all our social media handle. Don't forget to like, share. Thank you so much, and see you on the next episode of Aspire. Thank you.
Thank you.
you.